can get joy from. So I want you to have what kind of attitude? An attitude of? Gratitude. Gratitude, absolutely. I want you to dream bigger than you ever have before. And I'd like to share with you now how I learned to dream big, because it was life-changing for me. I was working at a large corporation, and one day I decided to go to lunch with Mindy. Mindy was a woman I worked with who I really admired. So I'm sitting there with Mindy. I said, Mindy, how come everything seems to work for you? You've got the perfect husband, the beautiful home, the great job, you're loved in your community. I mean, are you lucky or what? She said, I'm not lucky, Barbara. I just expect the best. And I thought to myself, oh no, she's one of those positive thinking people. Can't stand them, right? A few minutes later, she takes out a little book. She hands it to me. She goes, and I read things that make me feel good. You might want to read this book. Well, I look at it and I thought, oh no, it's one of those positive thinking books. At that point in my life, I would never read a personal growth book, let alone write one. But because I respected her, I thought, well, I'll at least take it home, but I don't think I'm going to read it. Put it on a dresser. 2 weeks go by. One day I walk by the dresser, I see the book. I look at it, and I swear, I hear a little voice. The little voice says to me, Barbara, read it. What have you got to lose? Well, I don't know about you, but I know where that voice comes from. And there's no way I will ever ignore that kind of guidance. Sure, what? I got nothing to lose here, right? I'm going to skim it, read it, whatever. I skimmed the chapter, and there was one there called treasure mapping, or dream boarding, as I like to call it. It said if I cut out pictures of things that I wanted in my life with words and glued them on a board, that I would have those things. We've all heard about that. But like many of you, I used to think that was silly. But something inside said, go do it. That weekend, I ran out to a travel agency. I had been dreaming of going to Greece my whole life. So I come back with brochures, and I cut out pictures of the Acropolis and the Parthenon. And I glued them on the board with the words Greece. And I said, one day, I'm going to go to Greece on my honeymoon. Folks, I wasn't dating a soul. There was no one in sight. Didn't stop me. Up go the pictures of Greece. Then I saw pictures of beautiful houses in a magazine. Oh, wonder if I could live in a house like that. At the time, I was living in a little studio apartment, struggling to pay my rent. Up go the pictures of the houses, and I said, one day, I'm going to live in a house like that. Have you ever wanted something so badly in your life, and you're afraid you might not get it? I had fears just like all of us do. But I knew deep down inside that that was my future. So for 5 years, I looked at that board frequently. I made those pictures come alive. And for 5 years, nothing happened. Nothing. And yes, I was getting discouraged. But that voice kept saying, Barbara, this is your future. You believe. And I did. A year after that, it seemed like everything started happening at once. I loved my job. I really did. But I just had this feeling it was time to pursue my real dream. I wanted to be a professional speaker. I was scared to death. I quit my job. 1 year later, I opened my business. I look at my books. I don't believe it. I have enough money to put a down payment on a house all by myself. I move in the house. I'm living there 3 months. Guess who I meet? You know his name. I meet Bob. 1 year later, we got married in the wine country. The next day, we flew off on our honeymoon to Greece. 1991. I'm speaking at a huge convention of business owners about competing on service which is one of my business talks. When I'm completely done, this woman comes running from the back of the room. I never saw her in my life. She says, oh, those were great ideas. If you put them in a book, I'll publish it. Lady, I've never written a book in my life. I don't even have a manuscript. She said, I know, but I'm going to send you a contract in 2 weeks. You've got 1 year to write your book, and I'm going to help you. My first book, 5-Star Service Solutions, came out in 91. Now it seems like everything I've dreamed about, with total faith and commitment, has happened. What about you? And you? Whatever you're dreaming about, believe me, it's not big enough. It's not big enough. So right now, I'm going to give you the opportunity to dream bigger than you ever have before. I would like one of you, if you could, just turn to one neighbor, left or your right, and just say, what's new? And you tell them one thing as if you did it already, and then say, what about you, what's new? This is very powerful. You should see what I see from up here. You're absolutely glowing. And there's a reason why you're glowing. Make no mistake that everything you've been thinking about in this entire presentation and everything you just acknowledged to yourself and a neighbor absolutely is your future. And no matter who tells you no, you're crazy, no matter what that little voice says to you, never ever give up your dreams. Because I know from the bottom of my heart, without a question of a doubt, dreams definitely do come true.